What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the 79 Coupe again. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the HVAC box kind of put together. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done today, so this might be kind of throughout the week. But the plan is to take the HVAC box, rip it completely apart, clean the inside, clean the outside, replace the foam, do the new heater core, new AC evaporator core, and just get it ready to go back in the car. Big reason to do this is these cars are, 30, 40 years old. You don't know what they've seen. You don't know what kind of critters have been in them, stuff like that. So, you don't want to get sick turning these things on for the first time and blowing a bunch of crap in your face and all over your nice interior. So we'll go ahead, get them all cleaned out. This one's actually pretty clean so far. But I went ahead and I've got the blower motor box separated from the main. The early cars are a little bit different than the EFI cars in terms of how they're put together, so this won't be really a how-to if you have a later model car, so just keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and I'll turn this camera around and show you guys kind of what I'm doing, and then yeah, we'll just go from there. All right, excuse the mess. It's not exactly a clean process. So this is the side of the box that holds your heater core and your AC evaporator core. The 79s are a bit different. There's like a bracket here for a block that goes here, and then you have this, I think this is the drain line. Like I said, the 79 ones are a little bit different. I went ahead and bought one for basically like an 80, I want to say 82 and newer. I think I bought it for an 85, but I want to say 82 and newer, about all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that. Hopefully that all works. And then I got a new heater core. Those are all the same. So I got a new heater core for it. Unless you have a non-AC car, then your heater core will be different. Yeah, so these ones are a little bit easier. They have a lot of bolts that kind of go around the whole box, and you can actually separate it that way. Same thing with the this is the half of the blower motor box. I went ahead and separated it, cleaned it all up, washed it, and the foam on this was in really bad shape, so I went ahead and replaced it. What I used was, and this is a little bit thicker than the original, but when it has pressure on it, it compresses down to like that original size. So I think this should work just fine. If not, the door might not open as much as it normally would. So we'll see how that goes. If it's a problem, luckily enough, the blower motor box you can pull out of the car without having to do the dash or anything like that. So I can go ahead and fix that if it's a problem, but hopefully it works out pretty well. So went ahead, and if you guys are curious what I used, let's see. I basically just went to Lowe's and bought some, I think it's like door edge weather stripping for like your back door, sliding glass doors, stuff like that. It's got a self-adhesive backing on it, so it sticks really well and should hopefully hold up to the elements. So we'll see. Enough about that. The other half of the blower motor box is drying currently. I gotta wipe it off and put the blower motor back in it, and then that will be done. Oh, also, one thing to touch on, these have butyl that go around in here, similar to what the quarter windows get installed with. So I'll be going ahead and getting some new butyl put in here to put this back together. And I'll show you guys that whenever I put it on there. So that's what we're. All right, y'all. So this is what I mean by the box gets butyl. There's basically like a seam similar to like a gasket with an O-ring, but they just use butyl. This might be a little bit on the thicker side, but it will compress down once you put the two halves together. So this is what I use. It's way thicker than that. I go ahead and pull it apart and try to slim it down a little bit without it tearing off. So this should work pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and put the other half of the box on there now, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once it's all put on there. All right, here is our blower motor box all cleaned up, put back together. You can kind of see, actually not really, maybe a little bit. You can kind of see that butyl poking out right there in between the two halves. So this is what I mean by the clips. They just kind of clip together, and then you've got one bolt here, one bolt here, and then same thing on the other side right there. And then this side has 2 clips, and that's all that holds these together. Pretty sweet. I wonder if they're probably, mine doesn't have it and it never had it, but you can see these 2 holes. There's probably 2 more screws that should go right there, but like I said, this one never had it, so not a big deal. The only other thing that I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do it at the moment, but there's a piece of foam. I think it's actually stuck to the firewall on the car. So I'm going to look at that and see what kind of shape it's in. If it's pretty rough, which I think it is, I'll probably go ahead and replace it with this. The nice thing about this stuff is that it expands up to 1 inch, and you can see it there. That's how small it starts out. And then if you let it, it'll expand. So we'll probably end up using that for this seal as well, up against the cowl, and all should be good in the world, hopefully. So this blower motor did work before I pulled everything apart, so hopefully it'll work when everything goes back together. So if not, like I said, we can drop this box down and change it out, not a big deal. So, all right, so this is kind of important to note. Went ahead and got all of the bolts that I showed you guys earlier out of the heater box, and went ahead and took all the bolts out of where the heater core sits, and then popped that cover off. That cover sits like that on there. Go ahead and pop that off. You can take your heater core out. That was leaking, so good thing we're doing all this. Once you get the heater core out, in order to separate the 2 halves of this box, upper from the lower, you have this actuator right here. And I'm going to try to get down in here and show you guys. But basically, this actuator arm sits on this little ridge right here. There's a, where did I put it? There's like a little rubber O-ring that stops it from coming off. So just take that rubber O-ring off and then kind of pry that rod out of the way. And now, with any luck, we should be able to actually pull the upper half off of the lower half. So I'm going to wiggle this thing out of here, but you guys can already tell it's pretty much should come right off of there. So actually, just needed to pry that. And there you go. The upper half is now removed from the lower half. This gives us a good opportunity to go ahead and clean these doors up. And man, you can just see how bad this foam is. I might actually go run into town and see if I can maybe get some foam that's not quite as thick as that other stuff, and go ahead and redo this door as well, because that looks pretty bad. So let's get cleaning this thing. So you can see how dirty this stuff is in here. Sorry about the lighting if it's not the best. The sun doesn't exactly make things easy. But you can just see how nasty all this stuff is in here. You don't want to be breathing all that. There's a bunch of dirt and everything attached to the AC evaporator core. This is that the door. You can see how bad shape the foam is in. It's all deteriorated. You touch it a little bit and it falls apart. So we're going to go ahead and strip the foam off of this. I will go and get some different foam for it, and it probably won't look exactly like this, being that trying to find like sheets of foam with sticky back is kind of hard to do in my area. I could probably order some online, so I'll check that out as well and see if there's any options for that. All right, went ahead, got everything cleaned up. All that inside of there is all clean now. That white kind of stuff you see on the plastic, that's just kind of how this stuff looks after time. Probably looked that way when it was new, honestly. So went ahead and, like I said, clean all inside the vents, front side, back side, top side, all that stuff. Everything's all really super clean now. In order to clean all of this stuff, what I use is just a combination of Simple Green, degreaser of your choice, and then I usually put like a couple, 2 or 3 pumps of like Dawn dish soap in there, and dilute it a little bit with water, and then kind of spray it on there, let it soak in that dirt and nastiness for a couple minutes, and then hose it off. Once you get the majority of everything off, then go ahead and go after it one more time, and with a like a wash rag with Dawn dish soap, and that will kind of get the rest of anything that you missed. So and I was able to go online and I found some like closed cell foam adhesive sheets. So I'll probably end up ordering that. You can get them in different thicknesses, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, this stuff. So these are the doors. This one's not in bad shape, but when you flip it over, this is falling apart. So this is like 1/8 inch foam on this stuff. I mean, it's real thin. And then this one, I'm kind of up in the air if I'm going to redo or not. It's really not in bad shape. This is more of like a high density closed off foam. So it stayed in pretty decent shape. So we'll see if I redo that one or not. So I'm going to order foam for those, and then yeah, that should be good. If I like the way that those turn out, then we might section on the blower motor box that I did. We'll see. So that's basically all I got for now. I know so this goes on the evaporator core. This is the piece of foam that comes out of your Firewall. Now my idea here on this, I'm going to go online and see. I know they remake these, I just don't know how much they are. I'm going to look at them and see if they're reasonable. I might go ahead and order a new one. But if not, what I'll do is I'll take my razor blade and kind of cut around where this opening is, and I'll put another piece of foam here and cut my own holes in it, and probably glue it down to the existing foam. That way it slides down into the heater box like it's supposed to. So same thing with this. This is basically your part that goes on your box, and then this is about the thickness of the foam attached to that. So the top half ripped off, but you can kind of get the idea there. So, but yeah. So for now, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get some foam ordered. Might go ahead and maybe look at something like Joann's or something as well, see if they have any in town, if I can go run and grab it, get it a little bit quicker. But for now, that's all I got. I'll catch you guys up whenever I get that in. All right, y'all. A couple days later for me, but a couple seconds later for y'all. Went ahead and got this door kind of retaped. Now, I know I said I was going to try to find like a sheet of foam, and I did. However, apparently Amazon 2-day shipping is more like, I don't know, a week and a half shipping now, due to the holidays and all that stuff. So went ahead and drove back down to, actually Home Depot is where I found this stuff. It's camper mounting tape, 1 1/4 wide by 3/16 thick, and I think it's going to honestly do a really good job. It's a little bit thicker maybe than the original, but when you compress it down, it says it compresses down to like 1/16 of an inch. So I think it'll do a good job for what we need it for. And then I got this one done. I didn't do the backside because it was in really good shape. The foam's really not falling apart or anything, so I just went ahead and did this side because it was pretty rough. Should work out for us. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this one because, like I said, it's more of like a closed cell foam, and it's really not in bad condition. So for being as old as it is, so we're probably not going to do anything with that. But boxes are all cleaned up, ready to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the doors put back in there. And after that, I'll go ahead and set the AC evaporator core in there and show you guys what I got for that. All right, so went ahead, I wanted to make sure that these two evaporator cores would be okay. So this is the 85 model evaporator core. You'll notice two things. Where the two, I guess, inlet and outlets for them, they're different. These ones are stacked up and down, and this one is stacked side to side. That's not really a big deal because I was going to make a new foam piece for the Firewall, so that's no biggie. The only issue I can see is this one is much more narrow than the original one. Also, shouldn't really be a big deal. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and get some more foam strip, some probably thicker stuff, and go ahead and cut it to size and just slide it down in there. That way it's mostly airtight, I would say. So we should be good. Otherwise, all of the other stuff looks like it should work. They're both pretty much the same size, so I'll go ahead and I'll make a little foam strip for that and should be good. Alright, so here's what I did with the AC evaporator core. I went ahead and got some, I believe this is 2-inch foam, just a high density foam. I got this from Joann's. It comes in a big sheet. It's like a 22-inch sheet basically. So what I did is, this is the original seal off the original core. I just took that off, put it on the front. Everything still lines up how it should. That will kind of set the distance for where this is going to sit. I mean, it's pretty tight in there. It's not really going to move anywhere. So I put that in there, and then that'll seal off right down in here. And what I did is I just kind of cut the foam so that this seal tucks down in there. You can kind of see tucks all down in there, and just try to make it airtight on that back portion so nothing really gets in the way. And yeah, it's really tight. I mean, I had to like shove it down in there, so I think this is probably the perfect size for something like this, and hopefully it works out. It's really about the only thing I can think of that you can do. So yeah, that's what I did for that. Moving forward, so from now I'm actually going to go ahead and start putting the 2 halves back together. And I went ahead, I don't think I showed this already, but I got the doors put back in the upper, so they all went in there nicely. Let's see if I can flip this door. That one flips down, up like it should, and this kind of, all right, we're good. Thought that was coming off for there for a second, but everything seems to be fine. So like I said, now we're going to go ahead and try to start putting putting the 2 halves back together. Once they're back together, I'll go ahead and put the heater core in it, seal that all up, and then I'll touch bases on cutting a new firewall pad. So let's get at it. Okay, box is all wrapped up, put back together, got all the screws put in it, all the clips. There's 2 clips over here, boom boom, and 1 clip right here. So got all that in there. All that looks nice and good. Seal fits down in there pretty good, and up here in the front, not bad either. Sorry if the camera angles are all crazy wonky. The door works as it should. All that seems good, and you can already see how it's starting to make an impression on that foam. That's exactly what we want. In a perfect world, I probably should have, you can kind of see a little bit of the metal exposed there on the door. I probably should have started the foam tape on the edge of that metal, because there's not quite any foam on the very edge of that, but I don't think it will be much of a problem. So went ahead and got that actuator installed. You can kind of see now what I'm talking about with the little rubber grommet just to keep it there. That went on really easily, and that works also, no issues. Yeah, so really happy with how all of this turned out. The door's in there, no problem either. I tested these actuators as well before I put them back on, and they all seem to be working pretty good. So from now, we're going to go ahead and get the heater core put on here and fully lock this box up, or put it all back together, and then I'll probably put the blower motor section back on as well. Okay, so I got the new Firewall foam piece cut out. This is a piece of foam that I've had laying around for a while. I think I ordered it off like eBay or something years ago, but I've used this a couple times to block off the holes in the firewall. Like say if you did a AC delete, then you just wouldn't cut any holes in this part of it, and you can delete the insert like that and then just leave your heaters. It looks a lot better than having AC capped off or something. It always looks unfinished when people do that. So but to not go into crazy detail about how I did this, I'll kind of slide this back a little bit. So this is the original foam piece, okay, and you can kind of see how there's like a darker ring around it. That's where I cut this piece off. Now you can see where it touches the firewall. So what I did, and this thickness is about the same as that. So I cut this portion off of the original and then went ahead and slid this back on. The holes were close right here, but they were a little further over, and everybody's is going to be a little bit different just depending on your AC evaporator core, where your lines end up at. So I went ahead, and once I found out where that was going to go, I put it back onto the foam piece and traced where my circles were at, and then cut my circles out, and then slid it over top. And now we have a new foam piece that doesn't look like crap. And the thing is if you guys are worried about thickness, this stuff compresses like crazy. I mean, it's, once you go tightening down on that, it's maybe 1/8 of an inch once it's compressed down. And the thing is that piece already had that amount of thickness there, so it's really not that big of a deal. And then we just cut our hole for our vacuum source for all of the HVAC controls, and should be ready to go. So for now, this is ready to go back in the car. I'm gonna go ahead, get the car ready. I know there's the one little vent above the blower motor box that I need to do some foam work on. But aside from that, this thing should be ready to go back in the car. So I'm gonna find the bolts to put it back in, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's in there. All right, so went ahead and got that put in there. Much nicer that looks, not having a bunch of random holes and old foam, and or as some people I've seen, you know, just paint the whole foam whatever color they're painting the engine bay. So that looks a lot better. Really happy with that. Now, one thing I will touch on a little bit, the heater core does sit in a little bit different spot. I believe this heater core is actually for like an 87 and newer box, but it seemed to went in the box just fine. I just think where it comes out on the firewall might be a little bit different. I actually think the spot on the firewalls on the I think it's 87 up cars, I believe the holes are in a little bit different spot. So, but that seemed to work just fine. Once we get the 2 nuts on there, it'll be ready to rock. So, but everything inside the car is pretty much buttoned up more or less. I need to this needs to go back over here and get the blower motor put in, but we've got the bracket up here installed. There's a bolt down in there and a bolt over there, you can see it. So when I got that in, and yeah, everything looks pretty good in here. It's nice to have that box all clean and to know that everything inside of there is new and clean, and so good relief on that. I did go ahead and replace the seal as well right here. I know I was talking about the foam seal is pretty worn out, so did that. And also wanted to touch bases. We got our Maximum Motorsports arms put in. Now it still does, the wheels are still a little bit further forward, but you can see we've got, I don't know, 1.5 inches of space on the fender now, and we did have nothing. So that is a lot better. We can actually turn our wheels now. But got the Maximum arms down in there, and a bump steer kit, and new inner tie rod ends. I need to go ahead and tighten down this clamp, but still plenty of stuff. A lot of stuff left to do. I'm gonna get that blower motor put in, the blower motor box put in probably tomorrow, and after that I'm probably gonna start working on the dash. And then once the dash is kind of put together and cleaned up and re-dyed and installed, then it's game time, getting this engine put together and getting it shoved in the car. Pretty excited about that. I'm excited to see what this car turns out to be. I've got a vision in my head for it, so hopefully it all works out. But I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the project. And appreciate y'all watching and subscribing and commenting. And we'll catch you in the next one.